sleep too long. Fill the holes, close the loops, right the wrongs now. Corporations, they pay no taxes. We're losing jobs while their profits be maxing. Yeah, no backing down, there's no retreat. Yeah, we gonna take back our street.
The Daiichi nuclear power facility in Japan was devastated by a tsunami, subject to failing cooling systems and flooded by torrential rains. In July of this year, the plant operators finally admitted that the plant was leaking radioactive water into the Pacific, a fact that had already come to some people's attention. Hanging over TEPCO is the constant threat of radioactive steam release from 3 units, including one whose nuclear reactor core may be melting through its containment and into the Earth, the China Syndrome. Cleanup is now projected to require an additional 3 years and won't be complete until 2020. Contamination levels are 70 times higher than legally safe for disposal. Pacific fish are testing radioactive, and widespread contamination of the ocean and the atmosphere are feared. All 50 of Japan's viable reactors have been taken offline. The ironically named oil company, Canadian Natural Resources Limited, has an unstoppable leak of tar sands oil on its hands. Since at least May, thousands of barrels of tar sands oil have been seeping up from the ground in Alberta, Canada. The tar sands oil has been subjected to pressurized steam heated to 570 degrees Fahrenheit to make the oil flow, and flow it has. Tar sands oil has bubbled up from 4 distinct sites. Wildlife mortalities have occurred, and because the underground aquifers are connected, there is a threat to human health as well. No sooner than Detroit's pet coke pile was hauled away, Chicago pops up as the next site. Pet coke is the solid byproduct of tar sands refining. Whereas the Detroit pile was stored along the Detroit River courtesy of Koch Carbon, a Koch brothers company, Chicago's pile is being stored for transportation to KCBX Terminals, a Koch brothers company. Chicago's pile is situated along the Calumet River under the Skyway Bridge. There, BP is installing new equipment that promises to produce 3 times the pet coke of its old Whiting, Indiana plant. As in Detroit, black clouds of sulfur and heavy metal-filled pollutants travel with the wind. The company claims to be spending $10 million on dust suppression, but at the same time says it is not feasible to cover the pet coke because stockpile locations and usage patterns are constantly changing. And while we're bashing the Koch brothers, here's our final underreported news item for the day. The International Forum on Globalization, a liberal think tank, has concluded that Koch brothers stand to make a $100 billion profit if the Keystone XL pipeline, that is the tar sands pipeline stretching from Alberta, Canada to the Gulf of Mexico, is completed and goes operational. The KXL project is likely to also net more emissions than Exxon, Chevron, and ConocoPhillips combined. 1,200 miles of pipeline carrying corrosive, explosive, and toxic tar sands oil would flow within easy reach of the Ogallala Aquifer, an underground lake that lies below 8 states and irrigates about 30% of the Great Plains. Know of any underreported news that deserves attention? Write to us through the Send Message button that appears under the About tab on this YouTube channel. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and stay tuned!
America, we've been asleep too long. Fill the holes, close the loops, right the wrongs now. Corporations, they pay no taxes. We're losing jobs while their profits be maxing.